Hey y'all, I'm Baby Doll. I am your perfect 10. I have worked with legends Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Larry Zbyszko, The Warlord, Rock and Roll Express, Legion of Doom. The list goes on and on. But I'm happy to be here on Road Stories, and let's get this thing started.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. My tag partner is sick, so she won't be here today. We wish her
Right,
well.
we delayed for a day because my internet was out, and I was hoping that we could do a co-host. I could be chaperoned, so we're good.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, Angel's amazing, and I'm sure she'll be able to catch up with us next time. But yeah, she was disappointed that she wasn't able to make it. But so let's just jump right into it and hit us with your worst road story.
I have been very blessed. This took me a while because I had seen my daughter Samantha have her road stories and thought with this podcast, I thought, oh, I have to do this too because I've seen you so many times at the fan fest and festivals and all sorts of wrestling events, and just had to be a part of the show. And then I thought, gosh, I'm so blessed because I really don't have horrible stories. I've got a couple of bad stories, but not horrible stories. The only one that I could really think of that I was just truly miserable and had no control over the situation. Um, my husband rides motorcycles. We've got like 7 of them in the basement right now. And yes, I have a basement, but we also have a drive around. We're not like riding the bikes up and down stairs. It's not like an old fashioned basement. My husband built the house where it's split level and we can ride around to the side basement and do that. And then he's got an upper building, but he's always working on bikes. So part of being his girlfriend and being his wife and the whole relationship was we ride motorcycles. And he had a big, nice Street Glide, 2016 at the time. And I was trying the biker thing, trying to ride as much as I could, wanted to be part of it, wanted to be cool, wanted to be on the back. And then he took me to several shows on the back of the bike. And it was kind of cool riding up to the ring and all that. So it was really cool there for a while, except for we had a trip and we went to Raleigh, and I live over between, like what I said, between Hickory and Lenore. So we hit Hickory to Raleigh. And if you hit I-40, it's 3.5 hours, maybe 4 if you hit traffic. But we kind of went back ways. So we went, and it was 3.5 hour ride, and it was nice. I mean, going there, beautiful hills up and down, the whole thing. On the way back, it dropped like 20 degrees in 30 minutes. All of a sudden, it's like 35 degrees. Yes, I had layers. Yes, I was like layer. But when you're going like 60, 70 miles an hour on the back of a bike, think of the wind chill on that. And there's nowhere to go. And then my husband with the Street Glide, he didn't want to have a sissy bar on the back because he didn't want it to change the look of the bike. So I had like a little bitty sissy bar in the back. There is nothing holding me onto this bike except for I've got a hold of my husband's jacket and around his waist, and my legs are so cold. And we had about an hour and a half to go, and I am literally crying because I'm so cold. That was the worst story. Whenever I saw the star, no, it was a cross. Was it the star? It was a cross because it was like right at Easter time. Um, High Brighton Mountain, I knew that we had about 45 minutes to home. I was so happy that I saw that star that, okay, we're headed home. That was the worst, was being so cold on the back of that bike. And there was nothing I could do. I mean, where are you going to go? But I love my husband, and I rode for quite a while after that. And then it got too dangerous. I couldn't do it.
I got you. I understand that. What's funny is with all the places you've been to, I was positive we'd get a place that was further than our own state. Like that's wild that it's an NC story and it's just not too far.
Right.
But no,
That was, and not too long ago either. This was just a couple of years ago.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, no, that's kind of cool then, because you were in the business when it was like most of the places you were going to were by car. So
it was, and then there was really no place open to eat. Like if you didn't get food or you didn't take care of yourself before you got to the show, then you were really screwed until like 6 o'clock the next morning, because there was nothing open. There were a few gas stations, so if you wanted to do convenience stores and things like that, I mean, they were open, and like we had 7-Elevens and stuff, but it's not like what it is now. Not at
Yeah.
all. Even like with COVID, everything got shut back so much, but now things are coming back a little bit better.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. Well, with that said, let's just jump right into your Good Road story.
My good road story. That would have to be also, because this is so crazy. I was trying to think of like forever on the bad story, because I've got some sort of kind of ones that are like bad but not horrible. But then you hit me up with a good one, and I'm like, oh, I've had so many like really super like. The first thing that came to my mind was we were in Vegas and we had money and we're like gambling and drinking and having a good time. And I'm in the elevator going to go up to my room. Tony, Orlando, and Dawn got on the elevator with me. That was like, that's when you kind of know that I was like, oh, I'm famous. I'm riding the elevator with Tony, Orlando, and Dawn. I kind of had like my moment. But the best story was where I met my husband. And because it all just, everything so lined up. I had just moved back to North Carolina. I was making shows. Everything was going like really, really well for me. Michaela was with me. I got to meet Lita. I held the ropes open for her entrance into the ring. It was just a really good show. But whenever I got there, I met Chad. And so we're in the back and we're like watching the monitors and we're like watching promos. And because I was working for Walmart at the time, I was working overnights. I believe I'd worked like a 40 to 45 hour a week overnights, then gotten in the car like on a Friday morning after working a 10-hour shift, getting in the car and then driving 6 hours to Richmond. And so I was exhausted. And I remember having my head fall asleep on his shoulder. And it was just so comforting and just so nice just to kind of relax, and just, I met my knight in shining armor at that show. So that's the best road story right there.
Oh, that's cool. I get that. I also like that. So what show was it that you guys went to? You said it was an NWA show?
It was AWE.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think. It was where Ricky Morton had the big throwdown with Kevin Nash. And it was a shoot, and Ricky was really going to beat up on Kevin, and Kevin had said shit, and Ricky had said shit, and it was trying to think of the guy's name that Marvin Ward was a promoter of that. He ran a couple of really good shows in Richmond, and then just money issues. People, I mean, to promote wrestling, it's a business, and my dad was so good at it and so honest at it, and I saw how much work he put into it, that you just can't like get a building and put up a ring and hope for the best. You have a lot of expenditures, and I don't think that people realize like how much it costs to put on a wrestling event, and it gets, be famous for a little while and put on some really good shows. Well, then you got to follow up with it, and then you got to come up with the money, and not everybody can do it. So it happened.
Oh, yeah.
But I met my husband and everything's good.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. So from there, we're going to move on to the question portion. So this is where I would normally tag out to Angel, but I'm running solo today. So let's just jump into those. The first one is pretty simple. It's when you're traveling, where is your go-to place to eat?
See, my deal, and Samantha will attest to this, after I have a show, I've got to have a burger. And I know McDonald's is like the worst, but McDonald's is always open, and 98% of them, you get the same thing every single time. You don't have to goof up. And if you like add little things, like I like the double quarter pounder with cheese, add the extra onions and extra pickles, and they have to make it fresh for you. And they're going to make it fresh for you anyway, because they don't have double quarter pounders in the window.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's a good idea. I usually always custom my order as well, just to get
and never argue. I don't care how stupid they are. Never argue with people that are touching your food. Be polite, be courteous, because they can do, and I've seen some nasty stuff done to people's food, and just, what do you do? So don't mess with people that touch your food.
Oh, 100%.
Words of wisdom from Baby Doll. Believe me, I am so nice to restaurant people. I am so nice to takeout people, to people that bring me my food. Tip them first, and then tip them when. Here's what I do, because I will tip them on the app, and then I'll also tip them once they get there, because if I'm there for 2 or 3 days, then I know that they're going to come back and they're going to be fast and pronto, because they know that they're going to get that double dip.
That's pretty smart. I like that idea.
Well, I've worked in food service and I've worked in tipping jobs and things like that. And it's just nice when you get that little extra, because you know that they've noticed you.
Same. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I delivered pizza for a long time. I also worked in high school at Hardee's. And yeah, totally. I totally understand exactly what you're saying there. That's awesome. All right. So our next question is a 2-part question. Who was your first favorite wrestler, and who is your current favorite wrestler?
Oh, my first favorite wrestler. My first favorite wrestler would have to be Terry Funk.
Oh,
absolutely. That's why I fell in love with professional wrestling. He had just started out wrestling whenever I was a little kid, like real young, like probably 4 or 5. He had his first match. Just, he's so crazy and he's so intriguing, and he can get the shit beat out of him. And he came back every single time bigger and badder than ever. And you knew when Terry Funk was in a fight, you were going to see 100% every time. Every time. Loved him. He's the reason why I love professional wrestling. And my current favorite now, NWA wrestling superstar legend, or future legend, 3rd generation, 2-time Samantha Starr.
I had a feeling that was coming. Yeah, that's awesome. No, she is so sweet and so amazing. So I'm with
she
that.
is, and it's just, she's got like the different personality, because she's such a business person, because she's got her shoot job. There for like 4 years. She was going to school, full-time college. She was studying culinary arts. She managed and owned, and eventually owned, a Sonic down there in Sanford, North Carolina. Actually owned her own Sonic, and was wrestling every single weekend. So yeah, hats off, superstar. She loves this business as much as I do. I think 2024 is going to be her biggest and best year ever. I can't wait. I cannot wait. The stars are lined up for Samantha. That's definitely it. The stars are lined up for her.
That's awesome. Fun fact for you, her shoot job, I worked there, but before she did. So like,
okay.
we didn't overlap. But what was funny is if I was still working there, our departments would have worked together. Like I work on the other end of what she works on.
Oh, so, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
you can see why that job is so perfect for her.
Yes.
Just so perfect. Like make everybody happy and enjoy coming to work, and love your job. That's her job, is make people love their job.
Yep. And she's got
perfect for her.
She's got a brain on her to do that job. That's for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Analyst work is not easy. When you were working, like, back in the day, who was your favorite person to like wrestle or work with?
Work against or work with? Like beside, or like on the show, or?
Well, yeah.
Because working with can mean 2 different things.
Gotcha. On screen, like when you guys had to do stuff, like who was your people? I mean, I know like when you were valet, like I'm sure you loved working with all your guys there, but yeah. So I mean, it could be anyone, but more or less like the on-screen side of things.
All right. Well, whenever I was with World Class, I really liked it when Jake was with me, because Jake was always teaching me stuff, was always telling me to look at stuff, like look at that, or look at this, or watch these people here. He made me smart to the business, and he made me smart to be a heel. Whenever I was with Jim Crockett, it had to have been Tully. Tully was always 100% professional, was always trying to get both of us over, trying to get the angle over, trying to get the best matches, trying to have the best match on the card. He was going to have the best match on the card no matter what. And I like that, even though we got beat so many times. I didn't like so much with Dusty or Flair because their promos were sometimes inappropriate. And my parents were watching, and to say things like all girls look the same if you turn them upside down, I was like, oh my God, my mother's watching this. Things like that. And I didn't know what was coming out of their mouth. With Tully, 100%, I know it was going to be about us. It was going to be about the title. It was going to be about money. It was going to be about the upcoming fight. With Dusty and Flair, there was no telling where it was going to be at, and I had to stand there and no sell it. And that was hard to do sometimes.
Are you and Jake related? Is that like Jake the Snake? Like you guys?
It's so cool because, okay, he's my ex-brother-in-law.
Oh.
He is the older brother of my husband, or my ex-husband, Sam Houston. Sam and I were married from 1986 to 1994. Sam and Jake have the same dad, but different moms. Jake's Sam's older half brother. So
Gotcha.
Their last name is Smith. Their shoot last name is Smith. My shoot last name is Roberts. So it's confusing on that because my real name is Roberts. Jake's real name is not Roberts. But supposedly, and this is like one of those road story things, Jake and I were riding in the van and going to a show. And I was talking about my dad's promotion and how he, worked with the guys, and how we had the Sheik come in, and he was working against Super Destroyer and Abdullah the Butcher. And my dad actually had gotten a snake for the Sheik to carry out, and then he'd put it in the bag, and then I'd carry it back. And that the Sheik had actually talked about my dad up in his promotion in Detroit whenever Jake was there. And Jake says that he was like listening to the story about Nick Roberts and how, oh, well, that's your dad. And I said, yeah, that's my dad. And he says, that's how I got Roberts. And he went on the thing of how the Sheik was talking about my dad, Nick Roberts, while he was at a show in Detroit, about how cool the promotion was and how over he was in Texas, and that they had brought in sand for an Arabian death match. I mean, my dad one time had brought in like truckloads of sand to put around the ring. There was like a 10, 12 inches of sand to like ringside where the guys could like go out there and fight in the sand and throw sand and stuff. It was like a really cool thing. So, because it was Arabian death match. So anyway, so the Sheik was talking about like how cool it was to work with that, and the promoter was Nick Roberts. So Jake's in the back, and so Jake the Snake Roberts, and he put it together supposedly. So I think that was pretty cool.
That is awesome. No, that's.
And then like years later, we tie in and riding down the road together to a show in Texas.
That's so cool. All right, so the next one. Do you have a Ricky Morton story?
I heard my daughter's one. It was so funny. Ricky. Gosh, you got me on. Oh, shoot. The Ricky Morton story that I have is whenever he first started in Crockett. And all the guys were, yeah, they're bringing in some little bitty guys from Louisiana. And yeah, they're just little. And everybody was talking about like how little they were before they got there. And, just wrestlers are just, we're catty, and we talk, and we rumors and stories and the whole thing. So these little guys were coming in, and they were going to take over, and So everybody kind of had kind of a bad idea to begin with them if we didn't know them. But when they brought them into TV and put them against the Russians on the TV line, on the lineup for the TV, they were given about 12 to 15 minutes for their match against the Russians. So we're all like, okay. So we're like all watching the monitor to seeing who these new guys are. So we're had an excellent match. First 10, 15 minutes, man, on spot, everybody, they're over, big bumps, everything's good. Everything's so good. Well, then the match keeps going. And the match keeps going. And we're starting to look at each other like, they're not going home. What's going on? Because this is like really getting to serious TV time. Like there's no commercial breaks or no nothing. They're just letting them work. And they let them work the whole hour. And that's how Dusty got those guys over with all of us, was by putting them in the ring against the Russians and showing out that these little guys can toe up with anybody, and they did, and they were over from day on, not only in the dressing room, but out with the fans.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That's kind of a Ricky and Robert story, but it's kind of one of those things that they got themselves over no matter what, and they can work, and I love working with Ricky and Robert. If I work a show with Ricky and Robert now, or even with Ricky, it's like having an hour workout, because from the time we leave the dressing room to the time we come back, it's constantly we got the crowd going, and it's so much fun to work with them. Even now, it's so much fun.
Yeah, we love Ricky here, man. Like, we get to see him often, and it's so great to see him. So
right. And Carrie, I've got a picture holding Carrie on my shoulder. Carrie's probably about 7 years old.
Wow. He's definitely following his dad properly, man. I enjoy talking to Carrie every time I see him. Good kid for sure.
Such a fine young man. I mean, Ricky's done such a good job. Well, Ricky and Andrea both are they've done such a good job. Such a good job.
That's
He's
awesome.
just such a good kid. Just one of the good kids.
Awesome. So we added a new question on our last podcast, and so you're the second person that gets to answer this one. Do you have a George South story?
Oh my Lord. Oh goodness. I've known George longer than all of y'all have known George. I don't think anybody can say that they've known George since like January of 1985. I have. George was one of the lucky ones to go to Kansas City with all of us. And when we got ostracized to the Team C, I think Crockett camp for Kansas City, and it whatever anyone has told you about Kansas City and the late 1986, first part of 87, it's true and probably worse. We had just come off from like major TV, TBS, local shows, the whole thing. You know, Crockett did send out some good guys out there. You know, they could work and draw if given the chance. We would go to the town and hit up a convenience store to find out where the building was, because back then, you know, we didn't have Google Maps and the whole thing. So usually a good way to tell the town was just to stop in and see if anybody's talking, see if there's posters up, just see if anybody knows that we're going to be there. Every single time, nobody had a clue. No one had a clue we were going to be there. Then I went to one show, and I want to say it was in Topeka, but I'm not sure. Went to the concession stand before everybody got there, and there's a stack of window cards like this tall, like at least 50 of the nice cardboard window cards in the concession, and they're selling them for 50 cents a piece. And I was like, why don't they get put out? Nobody's going to know we're here if we don't. We just didn't have time. Okay, and then they wonder why they drew 20 people at the show. Well, George was the smartest one out of all of us. He was there about 6 weeks and left. He went back to Charlotte. We all stayed. We were all diligent. We're going to make this work. We're going to draw some houses. Yes, we're going to do promos, and we're going to show up, and we're going to work out at the gyms and show the town that we're there. And it just got worse and worse and worse. But George South, yes, George South was a very smart man by getting out of Kansas City as soon as the next bus was out of there.
Oh man, I got you. Okay.
In other words, he abandoned us.
But it sounds like in this case, it was a good move on his part.
Oh no, he was so smart. We should have left after we'd been there really 6 weeks. We should have all left. I think Sam and I stayed like 4 or 5 months. We tried so hard.
All right, so we're down to our final question, and so that is, if you could only watch one match for the rest of your life, what match would that be?
It will be the time that Samantha Starr wins the women's title at the NWA.
That is not a biased answer at all.
Oh.
No, I totally understand.
I'm her mom, and I'm proud of her, and I can say that. And that would be the match. That would be the match that I would watch forever and ever and ever.
I understand. It's going to be a proud moment for sure. So,
and you know what? I just thought of that because you posed that question to me, and I was thinking. I was like, I was thinking some of my mom's matches, but I really haven't seen very many of hers. But I thought, wow, that is a good answer.
No, I totally get it. That'll be great. I'm hoping that I'm there to see that when it happens. So
I know, right? I hope so too.
I'm sure you will be there,
Uh-huh.
but just depends on how close it is to me if I'll be there or not. So,
I fly out of Charlotte. Charlotte is cheap.
yep, that's where I fly out of as well. So that pretty much wraps it up for us. Again, I appreciate your time, staying in contact with me, us getting this time together, and I totally look forward to seeing you again. I always enjoy seeing you. But
I know,
actually,
wasn't WrestleCade amazing?
oh, WrestleCade was crazy insane, especially like since I brought in Sean and Cassie. We were like down
Right?
from you, and like it was just so many people. So many.
I think Tracy said that there were over 10,000 people that went through there the 3 days.
Yes, which is great.
I love it. I'm so happy for them. Because
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to say I've been there from the start, but I think I've been there pretty much not from the start, but really, really close, really, really close. And I remember it just as being a charity show for Toys for Tots, and
yeah,
just how far it's gone. And I'm so happy for them. And it just shows that good people can do really good things.
this is very true. I did want to. I because my partner's not here. Of course, I forgot this part. But where can people find you?
Much to the chagrin of my husband, I am very social on both on Facebook and Twitter. So if you hit me up, I'll probably message you back unless you're do something inappropriate, which is very, very rarely. I'm thank you, thank you, thank you. But I think it's how I conduct myself. But if you Google my name, Nickla, Nickla, it brings up everything. And I've
Okay.
also got a couple of Slam Buddies left. I've only got 2 left. I think I'm going to order some different ones, but maybe like with the Great American Bash when I had the matches against Cornette, like with the Jaguar top, the white and black Jaguar top, and maybe do that one. But I've only got 2 Slam Buddies left, and then I've got a lot of 8x10s. And just hit me up and tell me your stories of how you met me and how much your grandma hated me, and it's fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you doing any shows coming up soon?
Oh my gosh, I've got Lenore on January the 16th. And then on the in March, I've got Ohio for Dylan Hines and Bobby Fulton up in their big show in Ohio. And in May, I'm up in New Jersey for a big wrestling convention up there.
Okay,
Can't remember
cool.
which day. I think May 9th, I think.
All right. I'm sure you'll be posting
Oh,
on.
I post stuff over and over and over and over and over again. But Lenore's the first one in January, which is close. It's just right up the road. So Ryder will be with me, and Barbarian's on the card. And just hit me up on Facebook and I'll tell you how to get there.
Awesome. Sounds great. So, all right. So now I can wrap this up. So yes, I appreciate your time. Thank you very
Well,
much
you're
for being
welcome.
with us, and we will see you in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know it. Have a good one. Bye.
All right, bye.